Hello. We have a situation. First of all, welcome to the video. Started assessing a situation, and a lot of times the situation assessment turns into action. So here's the action currently that's going on. So I took the bumper cover off. I'm about to try and take the bumper itself off, so this piece. This thing was probably going to come off anyway soon. It was only held on by about 5 screws. So 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2. So the 5 that are at the top there, the rest of them I just kind of ripped off. While this little wing thing isn't too bad of shape, I'm probably going to end up cutting this from here up to here, just so it's not near the tire there. And there's another reason, but this is one reason. I'll show you the second reason in just a second. But the filler piece, that the metal piece that attaches to this right here and the bumper, like the middle piece, was pretty much completely rotten on this side. So this side, the wing here, as you can see from the other clip, this is completely rotten. So I'll be cutting from here up to here as well, so they'll match, and I'll be cutting all this jagged rot off of here. So that's the current situation on the rear bumper. Just trying to get it started. I was just looking under it, assessing it, and the next thing I know, I'm ripping it off. This is the new rear bumper. I just did kind of a test placement up there, and this is for a Jeep, so a YJ or a TJ, I think, and they have the spare tire in the middle of the back door. Mine is not in the middle. Mine is offset to the passenger side, so I don't know if I'll be able to adjust this whole thing down so that this fits underneath the tire, which it was kind of close. And these brackets, the way that I think they go up there, they go on like this somehow. And then on the inside of this, there's 3 holes, so it can go down or up to adjustment. But that's what I got going right now, and then I will update you guys if and when I get this bumper off. Update. The bumper is now off. This is the bottom side. As you can see, it was a little crusty, and that's what I was talking about. So these are the points that we're holding on this piece on the bottom. So it's upside down. This is how it goes. So the top is not terrible, but these were the bolts that I took out here. That's pretty much all I had to do. And then I assume there's supposed to be bolts on the bottom. I think there's one here and one here at least. And they were not holding anything. I just grabbed it and ripped it right off. So this is what is left. This right here. I just quickly lined this up. I think I'm going to be okay. I don't have to alter this or anything because, number one, this has to sit low enough for this door to clear. So it's going to sit at the top of the line here. If you go any higher, it's going to hit the bottom of the door. And it being this low is going to be fine for it. Not getting in the way of the tire. But I just quickly spray painted it. I'm probably going to put another coat on it. As you can see, there's some rot there and some rot over here on the sides towards the bottom where the bumper was rotten. The only thing I think I'm going to have to do is go buy some flat stock, probably 2-inch, I think. Whatever size this is. It's like 2.5. The bolts are only like 2 inches apart, so I can probably get away with 2-inch. I'll see if they have 2.5, like maybe 1/8 inch. I need 50 inches of it, but I don't think they'll sell 50 inches. I think it's maybe like 2, 3, and 4 feet, and then 8 feet. So I'll probably get 2 smaller pieces and just run them out here. I'll find the center and then come out a little bit and then start. I'll weld a piece and then put probably 2 bolts through it and then do the same on the other side. And all I should have to do is just put these brackets on and drill holes in the flat stock, bolt these on there on each side, and then they have the wings, they'll bolt right to this bumper. So honestly, not as bad as I thought it was going to be, mainly because of this. This isn't terrible on top, so I should be able to weld at least to around this area. Probably not all the way to the end because it's a little crusty, but if I weld in this area right here and then drill and bolt it, it's not going to go anywhere. This thing is not terribly heavy, so I'm not concerned with it rattling off. I mean, if that's welded on there and has two bolts and bolted on this way and that way, that's going to be more secure than what was there before. So I'm going to go to Lowe's. I'm going to go ahead and pick up the paint too, even though I'm not going to paint today. It's a little cool. Although the sun is out and it's warming up, I might actually take the hood off and see if I can paint the hood. But I'm going to go get the flat stock and the paint anyway, so I have them both here, and see if we can get maybe the hood painted and then get this rear bumper on here sooner than later, just so it's out of the way, because I have the front one coming in a couple of days, so I'd like to just get this rear one on so I don't have a bunch of stuff piled up that I need to do. And then I need to go to Harbor Freight and get the roof rack. And I don't know if I'll have to do much alteration for the roof rack. It has these bolts in it already. So I was going to try and see if I can take them out of there and make sure I get either washers or put some kind of sealant in there when I put them back on. The roof rack has little brackets that you'll, I guess, bolt down, and then they snap or fasten to the actual roof rack. So I've seen some people put angle iron in this channel and rivet it. I have the rivets and I bought the angle iron if I need to do that too. But I'm hoping I can just use these bolts that are already here to fasten it to the roof. And then I'll basically have everything like I said in the last video except for the winch, which I'm not sure, like I said, which one I'm going to get, so I still have to decide on that. The ATV winches aren't too much. If you go up to like the, rope or whatever it is, like the non-steel cables, and like an actual 5500 truck winch, they're like $270. The 5500 or the 5,000 pound ATV winches aren't that bad even for the long drum, but that's why I can't decide. I think I'm just gonna wait and get the nicer one, and then also I probably need to buy that before I actually attach the front bumper, so I know if I have enough room to even stick it up there, or make sure I have enough room to stick it up there, because I've got to extend the frame rails to put the front bumper on, so I'll know how much to extend them to get a winch to fit on the bumper in between the front piece of the bumper and the grill. Alright, so like I said, I'm heading to Lowe's, getting some paint, getting some flat stock. Hopefully they have it. If not, I'll go somewhere else. But I'll go get some of that today and see if I can get this attached and put on today. Post Lowe's trip update. I have the paint and I got the flat stock. I got a 3-inch wide piece, 48 inches long, so 4 feet. It's 3/16 by 3 inches by 4 feet. I'm gonna have to cut it in half and then have a couple inches gap in between, because I think these tabs are like 50 inches apart, or I need to make them. So the tabs are actually not that far apart. They're matching it, but these things here, they need to fit. I think there's actually on the inside. I think they go like this. The wings go on the inside. Yeah, if I do that, if I mark the middle, I haven't yet, but these are all the way out to the end, and that one is right next to it, but then this one's got a little bit of a gap. Obviously, if I move it over, there's just going to be a little bit of a gap here. Actually, I might not need to cut them in half. I just have these pushed out all the way to the end, and then I have these holes out here right on the inside of the cutout. So if I drill the holes right there and bolt these through, I don't think I'll have to actually cut this. I can just find the middle and just find the middle on this, mark the middle on that, just tack it up in place real quick. Maybe clamp those things or somehow clamp them to that bar and just do like, see if I can do some test fitting on here, but this is what it looks like right now. I'm gonna see if I can get the bumper up there, get the flat stock tacked up and the bumper on it. See if I can just clamp it on and then make sure that I can close the door and that it fits and is level and centered and all that stuff. So I'll be right back when I get this sort of mocked up. Another update to show you guys the progress here as it's going along. It's kind of hard to film while I'm doing things because I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't have a plan. I'm just kind of winging it. But this is what it looks like so far. From this angle, it looks kind of goofy because of how the field of view is. Don't really look like that. The edge of the bumper comes out. I mean, I can't really see it very well through this lens. Hopefully you guys can see it and pick it up. It don't come out past the body line, so it's actually not too bad. There's the gap of it. That's probably about how far the other one stuck out. Actually, the other one may have stuck out farther than that. Came out and then down. I mean, that bumper was, the old bumper was probably out to here. I just have this flat stock tacked a couple of spots so I could get the clamps out of the way. I had clamps up top here and I couldn't shut the door with them in the way because I had to make sure that the biggest issue was making sure that this thing right here wasn't touching the tire. So that's done. I mean, it does look a little weird. The gap is in the middle and the tire is off to the passenger side, but only people with like extreme OCD will probably notice it. I do think this angle is funny though because it looks like it's sticking out of the sides really far just because of the wide angle lens, but I assure you they're not. They're even with the body line. So this looks pretty good. I'm gonna finish getting that flat stock put on there. I think it's okay. I might grind it off and just measure it because it looked to me like the right side was slightly lower than the left. I couldn't really tell. But I might be able to fix that with where the clamps are. I think that the bracket for this one is up a little bit, so I'll make sure that this top gap is the same across the whole top. Right here, like I had to move it down. I couldn't have it flush with the top because that was too high. The bar was actually touching the bottom of the door, so I'll make sure that this gap is the same pretty much across the entire top, and then I'll make sure that these brackets right here are in the same spot on each side, and then we should be pretty level. It's actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, I'm not going to lie. I watched a video on some guy putting a front bumper on, and it didn't seem too bad, so I was like, well, the rear one shouldn't be much more difficult than that. Basically, you just have to weld on some sort of adapter to go from this Jeep bracket to the bumper that I have here, this bumper supporter, crash pad, or whatever that thing is called on the back of it. But I'm going to go ahead and finish this all up and get back to you guys with another update on the entire bumper solidly on there. I'm also going to put 3 bolts sort of on each side, or 6 bolts through that flat stock, in addition to welding a bead across the top and probably the bottom. Just in the middle though. As you go out to the very edge, it's pretty rusty and it's not much to weld to. But I should also have enough time to take the hood off and paint that. It actually warmed up pretty nicely today. Like I said, I do have the paint. Gotta find my sprayer, my electric sprayer gun, and pop the hood off, scrub it down, dry it, or just let it dry. It shouldn't take too long sitting out in the sun, and put a coat of paint on it. We might go ahead and see if I can put 2 on and get it back on the vehicle today. Update. I had to go back to Lowe's because I bought 6 bolts, a bunch of washers, and 6 lock washers, but no nuts. So I had to go back and get some nuts. I also couldn't put all 6 of them in. I only have 2, and I can't put all of the hardware on the brackets either because there's no way to get a nut behind the flat bar or the bracket because it's encased in the like crumple zone thing. So a bit of a sun issue there. This crumple zone thing that I've welded and bolted the flat bar to is encased, and the only 2 bolts I could put were where these holes were, so I could reach my finger in there and get washers and bolts, or washers and nuts on the back side of this. So it's got 2 there. I went across this thing a couple of times on the top. I'll let you guys get real close on those tasty welds. Not. I ground it down a couple times and went back over it a couple times, so it's actually on there pretty well, despite how it looks. And then these, I can only get these 4 on here. These 2, I think what I'm going to do is make sure I have it lined up first of all. I did mark them. I'm going to put some self-tappers in here to hold them in place, and I'm just going to run a bead of weld right here from this on this flat bar and this bracket. So it'll have the self-tappers, which aren't very long, just to hold it in place, and then a bead of weld on the inside here since I can't put the hardware that came with it on it. Figured I'd give you guys an update before I put this on here. It's not going to take much longer. Like I said, the weld's done. I think I'm going to just paint all of this real quick, this flat bar, and tighten this up. And like I said, get this done, and then I should be able to just attach this thing. Like the rest of my videos, this is not an in-depth how-to, but if you have a vehicle like this, or even a Jeep or something like that. I mean, they make a lot of stuff for Jeeps. They don't make a ton of stuff for this. My front bumper is also going to be from a TJ as well, and that's going to go on the front. I have that coming in a couple of days. But if you have like a Suzuki Sidekick, if somehow you've found these videos and you're just curious what it looks like behind that bumper cover, and when you take that bumper off, that's what it looks like. You can absolutely put a TJ rear bumper. This just is a tube bumper. You could probably put any bumper you want on there. I imagine the bracketry is the same for anything, so this is probably the process you would use for any bumper from like an 80s to a early 2000s Jeep. I think a TJ or a YJ. They're all kind of similar. So if you're looking to put a rear bumper or front bumper on, stay tuned. You just got the rear bumper preview. Yeah, it's actually not hard. When I say that, everyone says that, oh, it's so easy when, yeah, of course, when you have like a bunch of tools and a welder and all that. I mean, you could probably find someone to weld it for you for not much. You bring it to them and mark where you want it, and they'll just zip a bead across the top of it, and then you're bolting the rest of it. You can come back or mark out where those brackets go, like I said, and have them just go ahead and, well, you probably want to wait until you have it all on there before you would weld a bead on that piece. I'm actually going to put it back on here once I get all of this hardware tightened and make sure it's still on there before I put any weld on the brackets. But really, it's just a drill. I used a step bit And then if you don't have a welder, drive it somewhere and have someone weld it on there for you. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this done the rest of the way, painted, bolted up, and finished, and I'll show you guys what it looks like at the end. Final update of the day. Let me get out of the sun. Starting to set. I am done. The bumper is fully on there. I had someone jump on it and it did not fall off. This is the finished product here. We'll see wrapping it around. This thing is probably 100 times sturdier than what was on there. I took out probably 5 screws out of that bumper that was on there and just pulled it off with my bare hands. That's how well it was on there. So everything up here is all welded. I could show you down here. I drilled out holes just small enough to where the threads would hit and grab on and pull them in, and then put a bead of weld on this inside corner here on both sides. Depending on when I get the front bumper exactly, I think it's supposed to be here in 2 days. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing some painting first or put that bumper on. I might do some painting first because my back and knees are shot from putting this on, and I don't know if I'll be ready to do another bumper in 2 days. The next video will be me taking the hood off and painting it. It'll probably be kind of a short one. I don't know how long this one is going to be, but I probably have to clip some things out. I'm not getting to the painting in this video. Went a little long, took a little longer than I thought. I'm happy with the results, so I got one thing accomplished towards the end goal, and then yeah, probably doing some painting next. So if you're looking forward to that, stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.